Marvel has made a lot of video games throughout the years, but not all of them hit the same. So I'm breaking down my top 20 Marvel games of all time. I ain't gonna lie, this is probably gonna be an 80s babies list though, so I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of y'all that don't agree, except 80s and 90s babies. This ain't no internet list either. These are games that I actually played growing up. So if you know, you know. But right now we about to start from 20. Hey, so welcome to Urbanime, and this is my 80s baby top 20 Marvel games list. Check it out. At number 20, I got the Uncanny X-Men game on Sega. This was actually my first X-Men game I ever played. I remember going over to my cousin's house and we used to play this game like religiously. This is like one of the hardest games I ever played. Like we ain't never beat this game. I used to run with Wolverine and Gambit the most, but this game would really test you, like really test you. Around that time that game came out, the graphics was like ahead of its time, so, and I was a Super Nintendo fan, but Sega for some reason was dropping some gems, some games out that just graphically just looked better. So if you want to go back to an old X-Men game and play something that's entertaining, that's the one you should go back to. I highly recommend this game. At number 19, we got X-Men Clone Wars. Now this was a step up from the prior X-Men game, and it was a phenomenal step up to us. Now the graphics were more colorful, they felt smoother, and the moves were better. Like one thing I remember is like you couldn't even pick your character at the start. Like it's like they kind of randomly gave you a character. At least that's what I remember. So like you'd be hoping that you get Wolverine or you get somebody that you actually wanted, But either way, you had to beat the first level. That kind of always stuck with me. Like that was something weird about that game. At number 18, we got Iron Man. Now, realistically, I wasn't even gonna put this on the list, but it wasn't a bad establishment. It wasn't a bad installment. I think I played this on the Wii and I actually enjoyed it a bit, just flying around, shooting, hearing Iron Man talk, it was a vibe, The story was cool, but it didn't have much replay value, Still, it's definitely worth a try, or at least playing once. So right here, this is my number 17, the Lego Marvel Superheroes. Now, at number 17, this game is at number 17 because I used to play this with my kids, and so it got like a little personal feel. So I played with my nieces and nephews and stuff like that. It's not something I played all the time, but it was just fun. It's not like I know the whole storyline of it. I like how you had to use different characters and powers to interact with the environment and solve stuff. It wasn't just fighting, like you had to really think, Now number 16 is the Marvel Avengers. When this game dropped, I was excited. The graphics, gameplay, the mechanics, all of it was on point. The story felt, started strong, but it kind of fell off like with the DLC, a little bit. It leaned heavy on like online gameplay, and people started kind of dropping off of it. But but overall, it's still one of the better made Marvel games that has ever came out. At number 15, we got the Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects. This game right here was pretty cool, man. I had to go back and rebuy the game because I wanted to play it again. I haven't played it in a long time, but I remember how the gameplay was and the graphics at that time. It was just like way ahead of its time. The only issue I had with that game was the roster. It was too many made up characters. They didn't have it wasn't heavy on the Marvel characters that I wanted to see. Plus I wish the story was longer too. But the gameplay and the graphics, it still was solid. Still a pretty good game. Check it out. And number 14, this is one of my favorites. Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage. Now, back in the 90s, we loved beat 'em up games, like Streets of Rage, Double Dragon. We always wanted that Marvel style game you know, that was similar to those type of games. Now this was a close one. This was like a very close, you know, close to like a Streets of Rage and things like that, you know. And so it was something that was really fun for us at that time because, you know, I always wanted like an X-Men game like that, you know. So, but yeah, it was a pretty cool game. The graphics, the vibe, you know, using Spider-Man and Venom, it was fire. Like, you know, never beat it, but I will eventually. Then we got number 13. We got Spider-Man: The Web of Shadows. Now this was one of them games you couldn't put down. Like you be swinging around the city more than often, you know. Instead of doing the mission, you sitting here just swinging around and just, you know, doing just nothing really. Just loving the animation of Spider-Man. The cameos with like Wolverine and Venom and things like that. Like it was just a well put together game, you know, especially when it came to like if you're like a comic book fan and things like that. Like the graphics and stuff kind of complemented that. You know, Spider-Man games always hit differently, and this was just one of them. At number 12, we got X-Men Destiny. Now, you know, this game was great. I just wish that they came out with another one. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you got to create your own mutant, and that was something that we all been wanting to do. We wanted to be able to create our own mutant. So, and the idea was fire, you know. But it's just this, having no sequel just hurt it to me. This could have been something bigger, you know. But you know, I don't know who dropped the ball on that. But hey, if y'all looking at this, man, please, like, you know, get back to that. You know, make like a Marvel, DC Universe type game. You know what I mean? Like people been waiting for stuff like that.